Activist Radio is on the air. You've tuned into the Mark Harrington Show, sponsored by Created Equal. Mark is training a new generation of leaders to take on the culture of death and win.
You don't like abortion, don't have one.
The only thing that can be said to be objective truth is that there is no objective truth.
It does come out in one piece. It comes out in one piece.
I would argue that we certainly are not all created equal.
And now, here's Mark.
Saving Northern Ireland. That's right, saving Northern Ireland. That's what we're going to be talking about today on the Mark Harrington Show. We're going to be talking about news from across the pond. When we talk about the pond, we talk about the Atlantic Ocean, that big body of water between the United States of America and the United Kingdom. And there's a lot happening internationally on the abortion issue. As we all know, last May, unfortunately, the country of Ireland legalized abortion, decriminalized abortion, after decades of it being against the law. And now there are attempts to legalize abortion, decriminalize it, I should say, eliminate all limitations to abortion in the province of Northern Ireland. And so we're going to be talking about this today with Ruth Rawlins. She's the head of communications at the Center for Bioethical Reform in the UK. And the reason I'm doing this as well is I'm going to be traveling to London. In fact, when you hear the sound of my voice, I'll be in London, actually, with CBR UK. I'll be speaking at the Clarkson Academy on the 19th of October, which many of you will be listening to that right now, actually, because I'll be there. But anyway, I'll be traveling to London, and we're recording this program with Ruth Rawlins and talking about what's happening in the UK regarding abortion. So you're going to get a little international education about the abortion issue today on the Mark Harrington Show here. Because this is big stuff. I mean, we've got Northern Ireland traditionally for decades now has outlawed abortion. And unfortunately, it looks like they're on the verge of removing all the limits to abortion. But some pro-lifers are doing all they can to stop that from happening. And one of them is coming on the show today, Ruth Rawlins, head of communications at the Center for Bioethical Reform UK. Ruth, thanks for being on the Mark Harrington Show.
Hi, Mark. Thank you very much for having me.
Well, it's great to, we haven't met, but we're going to meet this week here and when I come to London. So we're looking forward to meeting you. I've been following all of what's happening over there in your campaign to try to keep, abortion illegal in Northern Ireland. If you would, give us a little update. Now, just for the listeners' sake, I was with the Center for Bioethical Reform, that is the American group here, from 2000 till about 2010. So I spent 10 years with the Center for Bioethical Reform here in the United States working for Greg Cunningham. And there is an affiliation of CBR organizations across the world. The UK is one of those. Specializing in the use of abortion victim photography in the public square. That's something we do in the United States, something that CBR UK does as well. So if you would, Ruth, bring us up to speed. I know there's been a huge media storm regarding your efforts to try to keep abortion from coming to Northern Ireland.
Yes. So basically our campaign is cool. We've called it Stop Stella because Stella Creasy is the MP that has really spearheaded this, sneaky way of trying to bring abortion right up until 28 weeks, removing all protections from the unborn child up until 28 weeks, which will bring abortion on demand up until that point and potentially even up to birth. Parliament was meeting to talk about the government of Northern Ireland. It was nothing about abortion, but they brought this in as a sneaky amendment. And so what has happened is that if Stormont, which is the government of Northern Ireland, if they fail to meet by the end of October, then this bill will go into play and abortion will be legal. So Our campaign is not, it's not just about that. It's not targeting that as such. It's more holding to account those in the public. So whether politicians, whether media people, whether journalists, celebrities who are actively promoting abortion, we are holding them to account and getting them to defend their position, rather than often it's the pro-lifers that are forced to defend their pro-life position as if it's somehow bigoted. We are forcing them to defend their position, which is, we know as pro-lifers, indefensible, the killing of an innocent unborn child.
So Ruth Rawlins is my guest here, coming all the way from the United Kingdom there in London, England. Ruth is the head of communications at CBR UK. That's the Center for Bioethical Reform in the United Kingdom. For us here in the States, Ruth, explain, you know, I know a lot of people may not even know what an MP is.
Oh, sorry.
Stella Creasy
Forgive
is
me.
an MP. What is an MP?
So it stands for Member of Parliament.
Member of Parliament. And she represents Northern Ireland, which is a province.
No,
is that correct?
no,
How's
no,
that
no,
work?
no, that's wrong.
How's that work?
If she did, it would make even more sense. But she's from England, and she represents a constituency of Walthamstow in England. So the members of Parliament that represent Northern Ireland have all voted against this abortion bill. The people of Northern Ireland do not want, those members of Parliament do not want abortion. Wow. And even the stats, the polls have shown that, you know, more people from Northern Ireland do not want abortion. So this is like, you know, colonization again. This is like the MPs from England forcing this. And we, you know, it's the same as America, in the name of human rights, in the name of women's rights. They are forcing this upon the people of Northern Ireland. So she represents a constituency or an area, we call it a borough, a city, if you like, an area of London. That's who she represents.
So she's sneaking this into some other type of measure that's in the Parliament. Has it passed?
Yeah, so it's like just as they got Ireland, it's like anywhere where abortion is illegal, they have, you know, they are determined to legalize it. And Northern Ireland is, well, in the UK, their last target.
I see. And so at the end of October, tell us again what could happen there. Is there any hope of this not happening?
There is hope in terms of those who, without getting into detail, between Sinn Féin and the DUP, because there's some problems in the leadership of Northern Ireland. If they can come together, then this could be void, this bill that they've put in. And remember that, you know, it's not it wasn't an abortion bill, it was an amendment of a leadership bill.
Well, at least it's interesting that often happens here in America, right? They tag on some type of egregious amendment to certain bills that they know are going to pass. So let's talk about the campaign, Ruth, if you will. What I've been watching on YouTube are videos of you and your organization taking victim photography, that is abortion victim photography, and prenatal images out into the public square and displaying those, of course, and then bringing attention to Stella Creasy's position on abortion. Explain what's been happening there, because there's been a whole lot of controversy stirred up over this.
So this is the first time that I know in America you have held these images up next to officials or individuals who promote abortion faces. This is the first time we've actually done that in the UK. And so obviously, as I said, we're targeting her. We're holding her to account because of her promoting of abortion, not necessarily just Northern Ireland. She wants to so-called decriminalize it here in the UK as well and make it even more liberalized. So yeah, we're holding her to account in the area where she lives, in her constituency. We're showing her people, the people that she's supposed to represent, what she stands for. So we hold up the images on large banners, as the Center for Bioethical Reform in the US does, and I believe Created Equal do as well.
Yes.
And we speak to the passers-by, we hand out leaflets, and we ask them what they think about abortion, and we ask them if they are aware that their MP is standing for this extreme abortion promotion. And most of them we find were not aware of what she stands for. And some of them are obviously very shocked to hear that, you know, she wants abortion right up until 28 weeks. And so we're seeing people changing their minds on the issue of abortion, or people who've never really given it a second thought, becoming aware of their MP, and many of them are wanting to challenge her on that. So that was the public education project displays part of the campaign. But this is another first that we've done. Billboards. We've never put the images up on billboards before. So we didn't try with the aborted images. We weren't confident that they would go up there, but we did the beautiful living new, these are brand new images of the living fetus in the womb at 9 weeks. And we put that on a billboard with a company called Clear Channel. We wanted to have 6 billboards up, and one of them went up, and within 24 hours, the MP had called for the CEO of this organization who put them up, called Clear Channel, to bring these down. How dare you allow these to be put up? And within 24 hours, the company Clear Channel pulled the billboard down. And let me remind you, all that was on the billboard was an image of a living 9-week fetus. Exactly, with the website stopstella.com.
Gotcha. So again, I'm talking to Ruth Rawlins. She's the head of communications at the Center for Bioethical Reform UK. We're talking about the Stop Stella campaign in the UK to try to prevent Northern Ireland from decriminalized abortion, and a lot of the controversy that has ensued because of the display of prenatal images and abortion victim photography. Let me read from this article. Phil Connor, this is very interesting. Phil Connor, who's part of the Antisocial Behaviour Service Delivery, he holds the position as the Antisocial Behaviour Service Delivery Manager. Boy, there's a mouthful. He's the guy that came out and confronted you guys with a community protection warning, accusing you of engaging in, quote, unreasonable behavior, which is persistent and having a detrimental effect on the quality of life of others. The warning issued under the Antisocial Behavior Crime and Policing Act of 2014 defined the unreasonable behavior as displaying large images of unborn and aborted fetuses which have caused or are likely to cause distress and alarm to the members of the public. When I read this, Ruth, I'm thinking, number one, this would never fly in the United States. These laws or whatever they're passing here or have passed would be struck down as unconstitutional in the United States because of our First Amendment. But it's just interesting that they talk about how these images, and they were prenatal.
I think this specific one was the public education display on the street where we were holding the banners. This one was a 24-week aborted baby.
Okay.
This one.
But these caused detrimental effect and distressed and alarmed the members of the public. You know, it's interesting that abortion doesn't cause a detrimental effect or cause harm or alarm, distress, or what have you to the public. They're not worried about that. They're worried about the photos causing that. Isn't that interesting?
Yes. And we actually have had these images. We had a court case going back 5+ years ago, and the images have been passed in the High Court that we are allowed to show them. So we have these documents, but they're just trying to bring in bylaws and local things. And that's all coming from the MP herself.
Hopefully they won't hold up. I'm sure they won't hold up.
We are following up with our lawyers. We are following up.
Good for you. Now I want to do this. I want to play a clip. Of course, this has created all kinds of news media for your organization. It's been debated across the UK and on BBC. And so I want to play a clip. This is from the show Politics Live, BBC Politics Live, where Stella Creasy's one of the panelists, along with a newspaper, a news reporter who was pro-life. So what we want to do, I want to play this clip. This is of an individual who writes, apparently, for a newspaper or for the media there in the UK, defending as best he can your rights to put these images in the public square. Go ahead and play the clip.
This that was on the poster is simply an image of the fetus. Now, I don't agree with putting that alongside Stella's name and clearly targeting an MP and implying that she wants to kill that fetus. There's the implication of that, which is clearly very wrong. But I'm interested in why it is shocking to see a fetus. And I think the answer is because the more that people see what a baby looks like inside the womb, and the more that people understand what's involved in abortion, the more they're likely to rethink their support for it, or at least want to see greater controls on it. So therefore, depending on the nature of the images shown, I would like to see more images of children inside the womb in order to shape the debate, because I think it's a perfectly fair part of it.
Except that that's not an image of a 9-month.
There you go. So,
fetus.
Ruth, if you would, can you respond to that? I mean, obviously, we agree with him in that more images are necessary, not less.
Yeah,
that's
of course.
what you guys are doing.
Yeah, of course, more images. So he agrees with the image. But the thing that's been quite disheartening about a small minority of some, particularly influential pro-lifers, is that they're quick to defend those promoting abortion. So you heard he was quick to say, obviously it's wrong to put it next to Stella's name, as if somehow implying that she somehow wants to kill a fetus. And it's like, well, yes, that's exactly what she does. That's exactly what she wants to do. She wants to enable babies to be killed in the womb and make it freer and easier. And so, yeah, it is a shame. As much as I'm pleased that he was defending the image, it's a shame that we're having even pro-life MPs in Parliament jumping to defend MP Stella Creasy and her cries of victimhood. She's claiming she's the victim when she's the one who's victimizing the unborn child. And yeah, it is frustrating to say the least that some pro-life MPs, members of Parliament, and some, as this reporter, are jumping to defend her and not holding her to account. And that's something that we need to change as pro-lifers, anti-abortionists. We need to hold these people to account. Throughout history, they have held up, any injustice, you have to hold up. It has to be personalized. King Leopold and the Congo, once it was put across that this, King Leopold is one behind it. Bull Connor, the civil rights movement. Bull Connor was obviously one of the policemen, I'm not sure exactly, chief of one of the states or cities, and he was held up as the enemy who was pushing racism. And so why do pro-lifers or some pro-lifers want to somehow give those that are pushing for abortion a pass and suggest that we shouldn't hold them to account or even use their name? They're targeting the unborn child. So why do we not hold them to account?
Well, I think you know the answer to that, don't you? It's because they want to be liked. They want to be popular. They want to be liked by others rather than being effective. Because we all know that social reformers that are successful in changing culture and law are generally not liked. They're hated. And they don't want to be a part of that group. I would say also in the United States, just FYI, we have a campaign called Killers Among Us, where we expose those who enable abortion, whether they're someone who works at an abortion facility or a representative in government that supports laws that allow for abortion. And we do this, we juxtapose their images, their faces, and we actually put their home address on some of them. And we pass those flyers out in neighborhoods And of course, we get some of the same pushback that you are getting there. The hypocrisy is so thick here. And that is that they would have no trouble probably in naming names and even putting faces to a war if they were involved in one that they didn't approve of. This is something that they just won't allow because it's abortion, right? I mean, something they won't allow to happen, but they would name names in any other thing that they felt like was going to be a popular effort, and so that's why they're not supporting. But you are breaking new ground there. You are on the cutting edge.
Definitely.
This is the kind of thing that has to happen
Definitely.
in the UK in order to get people to really deal with the problem. So we're very thankful. Now I got one more clip here. This is Stella Creasy herself, the MP that wants to try to decriminalize abortion in Northern Ireland, and her response to the journalist that you just heard. Go ahead and play that clip.
Be really careful, because we cannot defend free speech unless we also take on those people who abuse it. You don't have an unqualified right to not be held accountable. What these people are doing is trying to radicalise other people. When I get messages now from people saying, you are a baby killer and we're not going to stand by and let that happen, what sort of threat do you think that poses to our politics, Tim? We have to be able to separate out. And you're absolutely, during the Syria debate, yes, I had people then writing to me telling me that I wanted to murder babies too, and that they were going to do something.
So that was okay, for in the Syria debate to name names and stuff. She talks about an unqualified right to hold people accountable. Well, in the U.S., we do kind of have an unqualified right that is called the First Amendment. But she says that we don't. You shouldn't have that in the U.K. Again, there's a double standard here. She's trying to shut you guys down, but because you're just exposing the truth.
Once again, we know it's all because of the abortion issue. Yep. It's not because of free speech and things like this. It's funny how she keeps starting, I'm all for free speech, then goes on to say how she wants to shut it down. And we are holding her to account. She said that we don't have an unqualified right not to be held accountable, and she needs to be held accountable for what she is doing to these unborn children. She wants to hold
you guys accountable, but she doesn't want to be held accountable. I mean, the double standard is obvious. So we got a minute or two left, Ruth, if you would kind of wrap things up here. I know we want to be praying for you, obviously, in your efforts there to try to keep this horrible injustice from coming to Northern Ireland. If you would wrap it up, give us a summary of what's been going on, and then what you see going forward right now happening in the UK.
Yeah, I think we are breaking new ground by holding them to account, and we're going to continue to do this with other people in the public eye. And yeah, you can follow us on Facebook, CBR UK. And just follow. We'll be doing live feeds from our displays and just keep updated. And I think it's important for us to work together. I think, that we should work together, the Americans and the UKs, because the abortion providers are doing that. And the more we can work together to end this injustice, to expose it, to show the public that the real people, will be educated and they will call for change.
Well, and we look forward to being with you, meeting you in person, and all the good folks there at CBR UK. I'll be speaking at the Clarkson Academy, which is your training program there in London, and look forward to meeting all you folks and encouraging you from America to keep up the good fight. We're definitely watching closely. We're praying for you. We're pulling for you folks. We believe me, you're a kindred spirit here in the U.S. because we know what you're up against when it comes to this type of censorship and the attempts to shut down speech and the right to defend preborn babies. So we appreciate you being on the show again today.
Thank you very much.
Ruth Rawlins, Head of Communications at CBR UK. You can find out more. Ruth, what is your website again?
CBRUK.org.
CBRUK.org. That's the Center for Bioethical Reform in the UK. The counterpart to the American group and other groups all across the world who are doing similar work. We appreciate your courage, your willingness to take heat for the babies. We really appreciate that, and in some ways it's hard to come by in a lot of cases. So appreciate you being on the program. Again, Ruth Rawlins, Head of Communications at CBR UK. Look forward to being with you next week at the Clarkson Academy there in London. God bless you. God bless America. And remember, America, to bless God.
You've been listening to Mark Harrington, your radio activist. For more information on how to become a witness against the evil plague in America, call Created Equal at 614-269-7808, 614-269-7808, or go online to createdequal.net, createdequal.net. Be sure to tune to The Mark Harrington Show next time for your marching orders in the culture war.